Welcome to The Table, a podcast where we share real stories, struggles, and victories as we walk together in faith. This week, I'm sitting down with one of my dear friends, Ashley Lawrence, to catch up a little bit, talk about a particularly difficult season in her life and how she's grown and how the Lord has walked with her and taught her through this season. We're talking about conviction and anxiety, the Holy Spirit's prompting, what it feels like to be a mama and want all the best things for your babies, to try to control things that are truly out of your control. I mean, the list goes on and on. Honestly, it was just a sweet time to get to sit down and have an uninterrupted conversation with the two of us. So it's almost like you're joining us for our weekly Marco Polo session. You're walking through, I hope that something from today's conversation encourages you, and join me now. So let's get into it. Join me for this week's conversation with my dear friend, Ashley Lawrence.
Hi, Ashley.
Hello, Catherine.
Welcome back to the table. I'm so glad you're here. We were just talking, and the very first person that we had on the podcast as a guest was you, and now here you are again, over a year later. I don't even know when that last time was, but I'm so glad to just sit down and have selfishly an uninterrupted conversation with you. That sounds really exciting to me today.
We don't do that much.
I know, it's crazy. We just don't have time. A lot of our conversations happen via Marco Polo, and we're never there at the same time. So I'm just really excited to spend this time. How are things in the Lawrence household?
The things in the Lawrence household, they are kicking along. Uh, my husband's out of town for 2 nights, which is super sad, but I've got plans to get through that with the Lord. So I feel like we're not just surviving. We're on this direction. We're on like an upward path. So everything's moving.
On your way to thriving. I like
On
that.
our way to
We'll say
thriving.
that
That's
about
a
the
good way
Collier
to
house
say
too.
it. I have good faith that we're on our way to thriving.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. We're a work in progress for sure. Uh, we have been we're in a like deep in a series on the podcast, and
Mhm.
I sent you a text a couple of days ago, just to be
Yeah.
real honest, to say I need a easy conversation, I just need a break, and I'm so excited. I have podcasts that are coming out after we record this one. I'm so excited. The conversations have been so good, but they are so heavy. And so it's just a lot. And I'm not even the person telling the story. And so I'm excited to have one of my dearest friends sit here with me, talk about the things that we're learning and the ways that we're growing. We'll talk about some other hard things too, I'm sure, sprinkled in there. But I'm glad to have you here, and I want to just kind of dive right in if that's okay.
That's absolutely fun.
Okay. What are you doing lately? How are you feeling your spirit?
Oh my! So this is the how are you feasting question. So how am I
This is a
feasting?
feasting question. Yeah.
Well, you will personally be so proud of me. A couple of weeks ago, a week ago, I have. That's my. I guess that could be my forgiveness. But a couple of weeks ago, God made it very apparent to me that I had been struggling with the business for years and wondering like if I was, but several weeks ago, he can made it very clear to me like I was creating an idol out of my children. Um, I just had them on a pedestal. I thought about like they consume my brain constantly, they consume my mind constantly. So like he just made that abundantly clear. And through counseling and talking to you and different things, like I realized what I have to do is I have to go back to like my original framework of when I started studying God's word and when I started being in the word, that I have to spend not particularly uninterrupted. That's really not an option. Intentional chosen time with the Lord every day. And so like the last couple of weeks, like since I've realized it, I have gotten back into like my little devotional, trying to do it every day. When you get out of this habit of being with the Lord every day, it's, you know, it's not easy to get back in and like create that habit and that, you know, daily meditation and things. So for the last couple of weeks, I've done a Bible, it's like a little devotional. It's like one sheet. It's got all the dates in it. And my friend Abby gave it to me, and it's been the sweetest, but it's also just that it's just a devotional. And like, I need to spend time with the Lord. I need some stillness. I need some quiet. I need some intentionality, and I need to be focused on his word and like growing and learning. So actually studying something. So for, you'll be proud of me. The first time in a long time, I sat down on my own study. And who do you think gave me that Bible study? That's you.
Oh,
You gave me the Bible study. Do you remember giving me that Grace and Chaos?
yes, yeah,
Who
yeah.
wrote?
It's
You
from the
remember?
Daily Grace Co. Yeah,
That's it.
that was like a
Daily.
late night shopping spree.
Yeah. And you gave me that one. And so I have picked it back up. And this morning I got all my books out, my notebook, and like wrote some stuff down. I even answered the ridiculous questions. You know how I don't like the ridiculous questions. Like, how
Same,
are
yeah.
you? Da, 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 da. I answered them, all three of them. And so I answered all the questions and made some notes, and I did what it said to do. It said, write down a prayer. And I wrote down a prayer and I studied. And so this morning was the first morning I have like sat down and done intentional prayer time. So that is how
That's
I'm
how you're
just,
facing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
yeah.
is so good. I'm so excited for you. I think you're gonna really enjoy that time. I want to talk about making your kids an idol because I think that if you're okay with that, there's this song that we sing at church, and when the girls were really little, like I don't know, man, I have no way to tell you when that was. But sometime the girls were little, we were sitting in church, and there's this song, Clear the Stage. I
Oh,
don't know who sings it, but we sing it at church. And we were singing that song, and it like hit me like a ton of bricks. There's
yep.
a part that talks about like anything that you put before the Lord is an idol. And I thought about my kids in that moment, and it gutted me. And I'm not really sure. That's not something I'm praying about right now, is whether my kids are an idol, but maybe I should. Um, I want like talk to me about how you came to realize that because in all fairness, Ashley, like you're a stay-at-home mom, you homeschool your kids. You are responsible for their well-being. 24 like all the time. That is so much of what your time is focused on. How do you like what prompted you? What made you feel like they're an idol?
The only thing, um, that could have possibly prompted that was the Lord. I've been lately trying to talk through in counseling about, I have, ooh, gracious, it's Sharon Day. I am pretty sure, no, I mean, I know I do at this point. I'm pretty sure I have OCD. So it causes me to spin a lot. I have a tendency to do a lot of what if scenarios, like, and all that what if scenarios, they're really noisy. They're really loud. But this particular prompting has to be from the Holy Spirit because it was a deep spirit feeling, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
It was actually funny you say the Clear the Stage song. That was when I realized it. It was like the Lord made it abundantly clear. Like I went to the altar, and like at our church, you don't I mean, normally, like in my mind, the way I was raised, you go to the altar to seek salvation. So it's not normally, for me, it wasn't you go to the altar to seek just, you know, presence with the Lord
Yeah.
or like quiet time or anything like that or praying with anybody. So like for me to go up there and pray for something that wasn't, salvation, which, you know, I got saved at home in bed when I was 12 years old. So I wasn't seeking that. Um, but what I was seeking was clarity. So like years, like it's probably been a couple years. Like I went to that altar like broken and felt that conviction and was praying about it. And I was like, Lord, show me. And I had somebody tell me like, and I taught like just shared it with a couple of ladies. And I was like, they were like, you're not idolizing your kids. You love the Lord. You're not putting them first. But like, and I kind of clung to that. I was like, you know what? I'm not. That's not what we're doing. Well, it came back, that feeling of like putting them back. And when I was a little girl, my mom, I'm an only child, and she used to say the words. And I don't think it was because she'd studied the word or truly understood what it meant, but she would say, honey, I just idolize you. And so to hear that come out of her mouth, and like, she did. Like, I was very much an idol in her life, because like I was her end all be all, like everything. And she, they like, and so it's like I was raised that way to be that child. And so it's like, when you're raised one way to be something, that's all you know to do. And so
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I was doing to my kids. And I mean, to throw it into the fact that they are my job, like that is my calling. Like, I'm a homeschool mama. So they are my everyday. And then they're, like I
Yeah.
said, they're 3 to 6 meals a day. Like, I spend a lot of the time in the kitchen serving them. So it is obviously motherhood is a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week job, but also I have to make sure that they realize that they are not my idol, that the Lord is my number one. And so I have to spend intentional time with him every day, and I have to make it be very clear that he is my number one, and he is who I'm sold out to, and he's who I live my life for, and he is my sustenance to get through every day. So I'm kind of just working on changing my perspective. Instead of looking at it as like, well, I've got to read the Bible every day. I have to, I have
Mhm.
to do this, put this on as the number one part of my checklist. I want to change my perspective to, I get to do this, and I am sustained by this. I can't function in the day's time. I can't walk without him holding my hand. Like, that whole concept. Like, it has to be my why and my how. And then so that I can do my job, and I can do my calling and that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that definitely answers my question. I think it would be really silly for you to just come up with that idea on your own. Like, it doesn't sound like an idea that
Yeah,
you'd come
I
up on your
don't
own, right?
think. No, that one was from
Yeah.
the Lord. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that it could have been any other option.
I was listening to a podcast, like 10 minutes of it. That's it. And then I got distracted. And it was this pastor, the pastor of the 2819 church, who I keep hearing referenced. And I just looked up his name and I can't remember. Philip. We're going to call him Philip. We're not on a first name basis, but right now we are. He said he's some like pastor in this really thriving, flourishing church right now. And he said that his parents did the best they could, and they like he was like a I don't know how you describe, like he was in a lot of trouble as a kid, and they just did the best they could with what they knew. And his next point was like, we actually know better. Like, he knows better as a parent. I know better as a parent. I know what I need to teach my kids. You know what you need to teach your kids, and that's that, like, we love the Lord. That is
Yeah,
why we're here, is to honor
true.
him. And I was real convicted by that, because it's not like I don't just not know better. That
Hmm.
sounds funny. I do know better. I know what they need as kids to be adults that love the Lord. Like, they need time in the Word, and they need to practice those rhythms, I guess, and they need to pray, and we need to do those things at home, and I just don't do it. So we're trying some new things at the Call Your House to try to just teach them those patterns. Somebody said in a different podcast, I can't even reference this, they said that you teach your kids to pray, to take things to the Lord as a habit, because when they're older, they'll naturally do it. They'll start taking things to the Lord over and over and over, because you've taught them to just like stop at a point in their day every day and do it. And I don't do that great. But I know better. I know what is the right thing to teach them, and so that's really hard.
But
All
also
right.
grace and chaos. Name of my study, grace and chaos. So much
Yeah.
more. And then this is like, I know you know this too, but don't beat yourself up because so much more is caught than taught. They're
Yeah.
seeing you sometime in it,
Amen.
and so like that's what I needed. Like I needed to like I have to do this. Like we're trying to do the Bible recap right now with the like I am, and like we're not doing that great. We're we're busy-ish, and so we've not been doing
Yeah.
that great. But like if they can see me sit down and they're watching their mama do a podcast and they're watching you study, and I know y'all listen to sing together, like you're doing all the things to so give yourself some
Well,
grace.
okay. We're doing our best. We're doing our best. We're a work in progress too. This is
Yeah.
how we led with our houses are a work in progress. Okay.
All right.
I derailed us. Let's fellowship. Talk to me about where you're finding fellowship.
Well, you know, my fellowship. My fellowship is the same that it always is. It's my Wednesday night ladies. We've got a new great teacher, and like I love listening to her wisdom. So like Wednesday night, on Sunday, you weren't standing there, but we're gonna all get together, like all of like our people. Like we're gonna try to meet somewhere in the middle. So we're gonna
Yeah.
have that, and so that's a plan. And then when school starts back, I'll have my CC mamas. That's they like CC kind of forces fellowship in the best way, but I do love it. Like I have got a group of prayer warriors from all different backgrounds and all different faiths, and I mean that's just a really special thing. We went on a retreat earlier this year, and so that was good. And then obviously I Marco Polo with you and another friend of ours, and that is a lot of my fellowship. So I think that's where same answer as always.
Same answer as always. I like it. All
Yeah.
those things sound good to me. I
Mhm.
will call her out. Oh, I almost asked Katie. I didn't. I felt like she might unfriend me if I asked her to
You
record
did
a
it
podcast
twice.
2 days after that I asked her. But I thought about that, about getting the three of us together. So maybe that's a future podcast because I know she'll
Yeah.
listen to this. So Katie, here's your ask. Just expect that we'll all show up together.
But she's been
I think
part of a
that's really great.
tripod, so it wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah,
It's free. I mean, it's not so much pressure off.
I feel like that's probably true. Sure, yes. Of course. I don't know if she'll agree with you, but
I'm not sure
she
she
did a
would.
great job when she was here. Yeah.
She did. She did a
I
great job.
She did so good. I love the Marco Polo and getting to be together at church, and I am just glad that the time that you get to fellowship, a lot of that includes me. So
It is.
we'll continue that on. Yeah, that's good. Okay, what about forgiveness? What is something that you're needing forgiveness for?
Um, aside from, I feel like it was almost like with when the Lord convicted me about making my kids an idol. Like I felt like I had forgiveness immediately. It was like, I mean, I know He forgives me, so
Yeah.
um, probably like an ongoing struggle where I'm seeking forgiveness. I struggle with defeat, and I think that is probably a commonality between most women or any kind of situations. Like especially when you broach a particular subject multiple times, you kind of in your mind you assume the outcome and you're like, why do I even beat my head up against this wall again? So I need to go back. I have a notes app. I'm pretty sure I probably said this last time I was on here, but I have a notes app that has called God Moments in my phone, and I'm not putting any in there lately. I should have. I'm not taking the time to do it. There have been multiple, you know when He convicted
Yeah.
me of that, making that very clear. God moment, like I needed that. But focusing on those things, focusing on the things that God has done, I have a tendency to have what I call a realist perspective. I think it might actually lead a bit towards pessimism. It's definitely not glass half full. Like I'm not gonna glass half full you. I'll try. Generally not gonna do it though, because we're just real and sometimes things are just not that great.
Yeah.
But because I realize that, and because I have my realist person or mindset, I struggle with defeat to think like, well, why do I even try? Why do I take this back to the Lord in prayer? Do I want to wait that many years for something to happen if it's been a long time? You know what I mean? Like, but having patience, looking at what he's done, seeing things that he's done in my life that were very apparent, that looked impossible, but happened because of the Lord. Perspective changes, all kinds of different things, like, in our lives. And so I struggle with defeat. And, like, why do I even try that kind of mentality? So that probably is where I need to seek forgiveness from the Lord. And I just um, ask him to show me, like, why you did great things. Here's a good thing, Ashley. Just remember that. It's not that hard. I did great things for you. I made impossible things happen. I've blessed you immensely. Like, just don't even go there. So that's probably my forgiveness.
I think probably a lot of people, yes, can relate to that.
I would
But
say
I have a
so.
follow-up question. Do you think it is like you lose hope that the situation is going to change? Like, is feeling defeated the same thing as like hopelessness in a
Yes.
situation? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And then I had tried earlier. That was like another little. That was one of my. We were attempting, and I think I actually know part of it, but it's like suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces hope, and hope does not. You know what
Put
I'm
you
talking
to
about?
shame or something?
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so it's like it's just it's like it's just letting the enemy win because hope is there. I've went through
Yeah.
the stuff, or still am. It produces endurance, and endurance produces hope, and hope don't put us to shame. So yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
We have you mentioned Rhonda, not by name, but you mentioned Rhonda, and she has a favorite verse that's talking about the hope in Jesus. So that's just what it made me think of. I think that's really good. That's really helpful because a lot of people probably feel that way. If I can be real honest, there's this relationship that I really want to work out and I want it to be better, and it's so annoying to me that it's not. And I had the thought this week, like, I would rather just go back to the way things were than have to feel like it's not going where I want it to go. Like that hope that's such a silly example, but it's like I'm impatient and I'm questioning, is this really even worth it? I'd just rather not do the work actually and go back to being delusionally happy than I stick it out. and and that probably is defeated feeling.
Yeah, that is a little
Questioning
bit
if
of
it's even
defeated
worth
feeling. Yeah,
it.
definitely. That is
Yeah,
the
so
enemy. That's one of those
resolution.
lies. You just believe these lies that the suffering's not worth it. I believe that a lot. But the suffering is worth it because God, He uses that to be better, and He uses that in our sanctification process, so that it's a lifelong journey. And like we get to wait. I even wrote on that this morning. So, but like we are not fully sanctified yet and we are living for our good and His glory, and so that our kids can see our growth, and that everybody around us can see our growth. So it's process.
Yeah.
We've got to put the enemy behind us when we believe those things.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like it, but I agree. All right, so in all of these hard season conversations that we've been having, I have given our lovely guests a lot of time to prepare, and you're not getting that privilege today. But I mean, we've done a lot of life together. I don't know how much because I have no concept of time, but we have done a lot of life together, and there have been certain things that you have worked through over the last long time since we've been doing life together. And so, Ashley, talk to us about a hard season that inevitably you're going to say is something that you're still learning about and growing in right now.
Let's see here. Well, kind of, I mentioned a little while ago, like I'm learning how to manage sort of like my OCD thoughts with what's real and what's true. So I probably could start there. Let's just kind of go back to the beginning of when I realized that. Throughout my life, a few times in my family, kind of depression runs in our family. We're real hyperactive people. I would say I'm pretty ADHD. But a time in my life when it was made real apparent what I had was after I had my first child. That was 2016. He's 9 now. And he was born, and I had been on an antidepressant, and I had gotten off of it. I'm self-proclaimed crunchy, scrunchy, whatever you want to call me. I don't like medication, don't like being on medication. So I was off of all my medication, and I tried to stay off of it because I was breastfeeding. So through that time, I started having, that was when like I had never had anxiety like this in my life. I don't remember a time. I struggle with like many memories of like a long, long time ago, but I don't remember like in college or driving down the road or anytime when I would be anxious about hardly anything. I didn't feel like a very anxious person
Mm-hmm.
before I had kids. I guess I can remember like before I got married, maybe some anxiety there because that was just a big, big changes. So big life changes were not, I didn't handle real well, but I had never had anxiety much. So when he was born, I started like mentally spiraling. I would have these thoughts and I was like, what are these thoughts? Like they're not my thoughts. Like I've never thought these things. These are not normal. I remember he had an owlet monitor, and an outlet monitor, it would tell his heart rate and breathing rate and oxygen level. It would tell his heart rate and oxygen level. And I would just sit there and stare at those numbers. For hours. I would just it was on my phone. And I would just stare at them and stare at them, and I would lose sleep over them. And I would just stare at him because I was like, well, what if he didn't wake up? What if something happened? So this anxiety that I had never experienced, then it turned into what if like I would go to put him in the car, and we were living, we were building our house at the time. And so we were living about 30 minutes away. So I would go to put him in the car to make this drive. And I would like picture this like horrific car accident. Like, I'd imagine the goriest, like most awful thing you can imagine. And like what I would do, and like how, like if we got turned upside down in water, or like whatever you can imagine is like the most horrific thing you can picture. That's what I was picturing. All these scenarios. And like it is exhausting to sit there and like ruminate on these things over and over again. So then it morphed to the point where like I was like, I don't know, maybe I was seeing like news articles. I don't know. I don't know what I was seeing. We have social media now, so everything's in your face. But what if I snapped? What if I went crazy and like killed the baby? Like, what if I went crazy? I knew these weren't me, but like they were these thoughts. So I got to the point where I would not even take him in the kitchen because there was all these dangerous things in the kitchen. Like the oven was in there and my knives were in there, and it just seemed terrifying. And if I didn't have to get in the car with him, I wouldn't. We would just stay in our little safe bubble, where there wasn't any of that what ifs. And it hit me. He was about 9 months old, 9 months old. And it hit me when my mom was giving him a bath in the kitchen, which was like at the other end of that little bitty house. And I remember thinking, what if she kills him with the knives? And that was when I was like, your brain's sick. Like, these are not normal thoughts. These are not anything normal. Like, you're going to think this about your own mother. Evidently, I was kind of thinking about myself. Oh, I can think, that didn't like trick the conscious, like, hold up, we're gonna have to figure something out about it. So that was kind of the first time I had realized like we're gonna have to do something. I can't live like this. I can't go on thinking like all these different things. So I got help, and I got back on some medication to help with that. But through the years, that has shifted. So it's not those particular thoughts now, but it's still like, there's so many things like backing out of our garage. Like, I count my kids. I have 3 kids. Like, I count my kids over and over again. Like, all right, 1, 2, 3, making sure I'm looking at them. What if I think I see one of them and they're not actually there, and I hit one and I run over one of them? Like, it's just like these thoughts of that are just painful. So it's morphed over the years to where, like, even like I'll pray as a mechanism or response to that thought. So like And I don't know who has ever studied OCD much, but that's what this is. It's 100% OCD. These are called intrusive thoughts that I've come to terms with. God gives us an awareness in things, and I had written it. It was awareness. This is what me like one of the other day. I was like trying to study about what like is OCD thoughts and what is conviction. Like because
Yeah.
you know, conviction is totally different than OCD thoughts. OCD thoughts are spiraling. They are anxiety producing. They are loud and noisy and repetitive and constant. Holy Spirit's not like that. It's not anxiety producing. So like, I mean, just for me, and like I was talking about earlier um with my conviction over idolizing my kids, that was different. It wasn't peaceful, it was painful. Like it's not fun to be convicted, but it wasn't noisy, it wasn't repetitive. It was repetitive as in it had happened a couple of years ago and I had focused on it real heavily, but then when it happened again, it was just clear in that moment. God made it very clear. So what I've kind of come to terms with and like, become aware of and like shifted my perspective is that the more I'm aware that these thoughts I'm having are OCD, they are, my brain getting stuck in one particular area. The more I'm aware of that, I can in turn have a better perspective on what God calls me to look at.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. I think this is such a good conversation to have because so many people that I know struggle with this. In fact, I was just having a conversation this week with someone, and she said that it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating for her because the people in her life that are Christians that she talks about this with, they say things like, the level of your anxiety is directly related to the amount of time that you spend in prayer. So if you would just pray more, then
Just
you wouldn't
pray.
have these thoughts. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating. She was so frustrated. She was like, that's not how God's working for me. Like the more I talk to him, I don't feel any less anxious. So I love that you talk about the difference between those intrusive thoughts and the Holy Spirit, but like, what has helped you? You did not just say pray more. What has helped you to see those thoughts clearer and to put them where they store them where they belong?
Exactly. Honestly, it's little bits of information that the Lord has given me over time. The way he's always worked in my life is he shifted my perspective. Um, he's given me different ideas and different thoughts generally through his word. So like for this particular subject, I became aware of what OCD was. I became aware that oh, that's not just me. Like lately, real lately, in the last month or so, I had never come up with a term of moral OCD, or I think there's another word. That one's the only one that comes to my mind. You can Google it. But moral OCD is like an obsession with doing the right thing. And that is 100% what I have. I will get so hung up on like, but I just want to be right. I just want to do what the Lord wants me to do. And it's instead of it being a surrender, it's a obsession. So there's two very different things of the same coin almost. But like just for example, like we homeschool. So I want to teach my kids the Bible in a process way. I want to do it to where their brains can understand it. So like I want to either study the concepts first or like obviously the stories first while they're young, and then as they're getting older, which I would like to make these decisions, I would like to have it planned out for all 13 years of their school. So like ages K through 3, we focus on the stories, and then 4 through 7 we focus on whatever. We're at 4 right now, so I need to figure out what this like next focus is. But I want to have that figured out. I want to have the correct answer. I want the one that's going to get into their brain the most effectively so that they know
Yeah.
God's word and they understand it. But that's my obsession with the right instead of it being a surrender. and like, all right, Holy Spirit, Lord, I need you to show me where we need to be in your word right now. Show me what I need to put it into my lap. Make it very clear to me. Instead of surrendering to him and helping him and making those decisions, I have a tendency to just try to do the right thing or pray it away. That's another one of my kind of obsessions. Like, I'll be like, well, if I just pray about it, it'll be okay. It's not a prayer thing. It's a surrender and a understanding that it's just a growing understanding and a different perspective change based on what he gives us. You know what I mean?
Hmm. It's really hard. You have been alongside me as I work through this, but I think, and we've talked about this before, so I'm going to say it. If you don't want me to say it, then I'll edit it out. But the other day I was on a walk by myself, and I was praying about all the things that are happening, which I don't do super often. So I'm not saying that to be like, woohoo, look what I was doing. But I was feeling desperate, and so I was going on this walk, and I was praying about all these things. I'm trying to just like pour my heart out to the Lord, and I got to a certain point, and I was but like, please teach my babies. Help me to raise my babies in a way that they'll love you and that they'll live their lives for you. But could you please just keep them safe? Like, could you please not do anything to them that makes them learn that lesson in a hard way? And I think it's been a process for me, but it is that surrender that's hard to do, to say that, and we've been talking about this on the podcast for weeks, like, God is going to do what he's going to do. He is
Exactly.
going to do what he's going to do, and I get to choose how I'm surrendered to that plan, and that's really hard. In the next 30 minutes, I think I can do okay with that, but tomorrow it's going to be hard for me again to surrender my people, and I think that some of the anxiety that I feel is related to that. It's like, well, I want these things, but please don't take their health. Or I want this, but please don't give it to me in a way that's going to be really painful, because I want to be comfortable. So I like that you use the word surrender, because I think that is, for me, that's been a key. It's like, I have to just surrender my kids to him. And however he's going to take care of them is how he's going to take care of them. And all I can do is change the way that I respond to that. It's so hard.
Yeah, I pray that prayer a whole lot. But Lord, just protect him. Just
I
keep him
know.
so many times. At
Yeah.
some maybe I'll mature out of that, but I have not yet. So that's just a work in progress. That's just gonna have to be one of those places that we're gonna get better with, right?
Yeah, we are. We're gonna get better. We are a work in progress. How
Mhm.
has this journey of learning more about OCD and being more aware of the thoughts that are OCD thoughts versus the Holy Spirit, how has that changed your relationship with the Lord?
That's a good question. How has it changed my relationship with the Lord?
Or what's
Um,
different because you know that now?
it is different now that I know that. I do still pray a lot as a result of the thoughts. So I've not stopped it, but it's a growing understanding. So for me, I need to, like today, like with this Bible study, it was talking about what attributes of God do you want to focus on? And so it was, the ones like I looked through, like they had like a whole list of his attributes in like scripture, and I was like, that's what I need to meditate on. I need to meditate on his goodness because
Hmm.
he is good. I need to meditate on his love because he is love. And those are probably the two things that I need to meditate on the most, because I struggle with like all these bad things. I struggle with all like, what if something does happen? So, with my growth in this, I'm learning to focus on who he is, his goodness and his love. And he only wants good things for us. Even his laws make sense in that way. If things that are considered sin are, we don't do these things because he knows what's best for us. Like most of them make sense. If you do X and Y and Z, this will happen. And it's not good. It's not good for you. So I don't know. I mean, It's definitely different. It's definitely changed my relationship with him in a good way. So I'm just learning to lean into more of his character, and I don't know, maybe if it's like truly believing in his character, believing those things, or if it's just becoming like a better understanding. You know what I mean?
Hmm. This has been something that keeps, I think Sing has done this a couple times over the last couple of weeks, but Psalms 84 and Psalms 27 have been showing up everywhere in all the places that I listen, whatever that is.
Mhm.
And it's Psalms 84 is about like better is one day in your courts than a thousand elsewhere. Or that's the song that it comes, I don't know. Being in the presence of God is like better than anything. It's the thing that we should want to do. In Psalms 27, David's literally being pursued by like an army or something. Like something really bad is happening to him, and he pauses and says, "I, I like seek to dwell in your presence and inquire in your courts," or so, like the idea of the best thing that could happen to him, and like what he wants to set his affections on is being in the presence of God. And I think that's what you're talking about. So it reminded me of like it's really about our mindset and where our hearts are focused while all the things continue to happen around us that actually I have no control over. If my heart is focused on being in the presence of God, if that's like the ultimate thing for me, then I'm probably going to get through some of this other stuff a little bit easier. I have a question though, while you were talking. Will you give me an example of how you pray through these thoughts? Like, because I think other people it might be helpful to hear an example so they could say, oh, maybe I do that too, and be able to become more aware.
The way I pray through these thoughts. So like I said, my husband's going out of town tonight, and I'm anticipating those thoughts. This is gonna sound a little crazy, but it has worked. And I 100% believe the Lord gave me this. I was doing research on this particular topic, and I was reading a book. I think it's called The Worry Free Parent by Sissy Goff. Their big thing is that's for parenting, and it talks about naming the worry monster. Or for me, it's intrusive thoughts, but those are my worry monster. So when you name the worry monster, like I obviously know they're OCD thoughts at this point. Like I'm becoming more and more aware of like which ones are OCD thoughts. So me laying in bed with my husband out of town, my intrusive thoughts are going to be, okay, if an intruder comes in and I have to go and get the gun, which direction do I shoot to make sure I don't shoot towards my children? Like these kinds of thoughts, just like, and then just spin on that. Well, what if they go through this door? Well, if they come through this door, what do I do? Or, you know what I mean? Like all these intrusive thoughts. So like, how do I, how do I handle these? I have named my worry monster Cynthia. No offense to any of Cynthias out there. It came from I don't know, all these, like if you were born in the 80s and you watched Rugrats, there Angelica had a doll named Cynthia. Well, Cynthia had a hard time. She was missing a lot of hair and she looked real pitiful, but that was Angelica's favorite doll and she carried her everywhere. So this doll's name is Cynthia. That was the name that I chose for my worry monster. So it has helped me tremendously to simply name that thought. And I'm like, Cynthia, be quiet. So in my mind, I just, Cynthia, be quiet. And it's honestly become almost like a get behind me, Satan kind of thing, because Cynthia is my, personification of Satan, because these thoughts are not true. They're not just, they're not honorable. They're not from the Lord.
Yeah.
They are not from the Lord. So when I named them and I'm like, Cynthia, that's enough. We're not going to do that anymore. They will be quiet. It is shocking to simply name them and that to they will be quiet. So the other thing that I do is I focus. Then at that point, it's like I've named it. I realize, okay, you're spiraling. You're thinking all these things that are not, honoring to God. So what can you think about? And fortunately, me and the kids have memorized Philippians 4:8, I guess it is, and it's what the scripture I just quoted: whatever's true, whatever's honorable, whatever's just, whatever is lovely. If there's any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. So I think psychology has kind of come along with this. Focusing on things you're grateful for has is obviously something that like psychology proves that can change your mindset. So I try, like, in the recent past, I am trying to focus on just start counting things I'm grateful for. But also, me and my counselor were talking about this, I guess today. Um, and she said, okay, we'll take Philippians 4 and 8 and go a little bit further out, then start actually thinking about, okay, what is lovely? And start like categorizing those particular things. Like, so as I've already got a plan for tonight. So I am not going to do any of the things. I'm not going to stress about an intruder. That is grace for not another day, but is never, hopefully never going to happen. But
Yeah.
we're going to manna for today. And my lot in life right now is to not have an intruder in my home. So that's where I'm going to focus. I'm going to focus on what is true. And so I'm going to start. My plan for tonight is to name what is true. And I'm going to name what's lovely. And I don't know how far we'll get, but that's my how I pray about it, or how I, get through it, more or less.
Oh, I think that's a great strategy. You've talked to me about the worry-free parent before, and I think you just gave like the same framework that you use about naming it and replacing it with truth. And I think it's a great example. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna print out Philippians 4:8 and stick it somewhere in my house so that I can start thinking through some of those same things, thinking about things that are lovely or pure, or honorable, instead of the other thoughts I tend to have sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, you talked about the word. You talked about what you're doing now, to grow your relationship with the Lord. The other kind of part of this conversation that we've been having is like, how has your community helped you through this season? Like, what role has community played in this hard thing?
Well, that's an easy answer. Um, all right. So I had mentioned I kind of have that like whole moral OCD, like wanting to do the right thing. What was it? How long has it been? You remember it? It was like what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago? I started spiraling, thinking I was failing as a parent. And I was like, I'm just not doing enough. We are not showing up to, at the food banks, taking people the meals, and not
Yeah.
volunteering enough, and I'm not, under the bridge trying to, share the gospel with the homeless. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what I was looking for. But I was like, I'm just not doing enough for the Lord. I'm not trying hard enough. And I truly believe the Lord gave, it was Kaylee first, and she was like, Ashley, think about David. David was a man after God's own heart. Do you think he was perfect on what he was doing? No. He messed it up a whole lot. He had a woman's husband killed. She was like, are you desiring to be close to the Lord? I was like, well, yeah, obviously. I'm flipping out about this for no apparent reason. um she was like, think about him. He wanted the same thing. God sees your heart. And it was like, and so like after, I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. It's David was a man after God's own heart, and his heart wanted nothing more than to be close to the Lord. And that's what I want. I want so bad to do what he wants me to do, so much so that I decided to spiral about it for days and days and days, possibly weeks on end. But what happened was my community showed up for me. So she told me that was at my workout. And then I got on Marco Polo with y'all and was just like, I'm not doing enough. And Katie said the same thing. And I wonder how many times in my life, y'all and my husband, everybody has told me, you're just too hard on yourself. You're too hard on yourself. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Don't even know what those
Yeah.
words mean. How can you be too hard on yourself? Like, does God not want us to try? But he sees our heart, and he knew that, and he used my community to get through to me, to give me some peace. So that is how my community showed up for me. They showed up for me big, y'all. It was like that situation just closed, and I didn't have any more anxiety over that. My heart is in the right place. I want to serve the Lord. I want to be who he wants me to be. Am I going to do it perfectly? No. Do I have to be under the bridge serving the homeless? Also, no. I need to be, doing the next right thing.
Yeah. That's so good. I'm glad you shared that story because I think that's a really um, good example that probably a lot of people struggle with, and hopefully there's a lot of, for sure, mamas that just like took a sigh of relief knowing that it's okay and their heart is in the right place. What else about this topic, about this season, do you want to share that I haven't given you a chance to share yet?
It's a day by day thing. It's different things that show up in it. It's a realization, it's perspective change. And it's just trusting that God's going to give me the rest of it. And at some point my neural pathways are not going to be so cut into the what ifs anymore. They're going to be cut into like shutting Cynthia down and being like, all right, that's enough. I'm going to focus on the Lord. I'm going to focus on the right things. And I'm going to think about what's true.
Okay, I did think of one more question. So let's say there's a mom, a person listening, and after hearing you talk, they think, "Oh man, I might be listening to some thoughts that are not from the Lord. Like I might have some intrusive thoughts, and I might be struggling with something similar." What would you tell them? What would you say they should do first? Like by no means are we, either one of us, giving someone like counseling
Or
advice.
medical
This is,
advice.
yeah. But what, like, as someone who's lived through all that you've lived through up to this point, what would you say to someone just starting out on this journey? Like
Oh,
they're just coming to the awareness of this.
I would seek out, like, I wish I had understood it. I wish I had understood um what it was. Number one, like the awareness of it is the first thing. I really wish I was able to name those thoughts 9 years ago. Like
Early.
I
Yeah.
literally, I just named it Cynthia, the worry monster, whatever. I just named it. So if I could have like put those, like, gotten named those thoughts and like shut them down like I can now, 9 years ago, oh my goodness, that'd have been a lot easier. So probably the second thing would be naming it, trying to figure out awareness, and then naming it, and then they think they have cognitive, or I can't remember, it's cognitive, it's something exposure therapy. See, something exposure therapy, ET. But like that's kind of the thought process of like you have these thoughts, and I'm working through it now. So like I used to have like go in and check my kids, make sure they're breathing. That was like I'd mentioned that earlier. But now like I can shut the thought down, and I don't have to go in their room in the middle of the night multiple times to check on them to see if they're breathing
Check
anymore.
on.
It happened this morning. Like I actually didn't go in there, and he woke up and they were fine, and I knew they were. But so many times I've taken my little flashlight on my phone in there and like looked at them to watch their chests rise and fall. Um, so it is working. Like what I'm doing is working, and they say it's like, so you have the thought. There's the thought, and that's just what it is. It's not who you are. It's the thought, and then the reaction to it is what do they call it, the impulse. So it's like me walking into their room to check in on them is the
Yeah.
impulse. Like I have the thought and then I react to it. So if you can push the impulse off even by like 8 seconds, the goal is like 15 to 30 seconds. The longer you push it off, and so for me I name it, that's when I'm like, Cynthia, it's not okay, but it'll still sometimes keep coming back. But the longer you can push it off, the neural pathway just kind of starts to fade. So I feel like, I mean, I used to every single time, if I had the thought, I'd go check. Didn't matter what I was doing. I would go check. I just go make sure they were okay. And so it's just, I wish I had kind of figured all these things out within the first 6 months to a year, as opposed to having like 9 years of it. But there is never too late, obviously. So
Yeah.
it's just
Work
funny
in
how it's
progress.
shifted. Yeah, it's a work in progress. At some
Yeah.
point, I mean, I truly believe they're going to go away completely. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably what I wish I had, known. Or if I was like if I was talking to me and, like just study it, figure it out, and then do the things you need to do to get past it.
Yeah. Well, I'll link to some of those things in the show notes so people can go and at least get the book by Sissy Goff and start there and start to understand more about it. Thank you so much. Thank you
You are
for
so welcome.
saying yes and being here. This was so fun. This is the longest we've been able to just sit and talk to each other in a
I
long time.
know. We're swimming Friday, so it's like
Yeah.
we're gonna spend some time on Friday.
Exactly. We'll do something fun. We have a plan. So, all right. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being honest and bringing this, which I think a lot of people probably struggle with. Thanks for bringing it and talking about your journey. And hopefully, you're giving some hope to people that feel like they're drowning a little bit.
And then there
In
is
this.
one more book.
What is it? Yeah.
It's called. I think it's called Stuck Unstuck, but I'm not 100%. So I'll just send you a picture of it and let you
Okay.
show it, because it was the one. It's the book. I don't think I ever finished it, but like I read enough to like get that process down. So it's like name it and then like slowing down the impulse and then like to avoid reaction to it. So it was where I kind of got that framework. I think I had listened to that author on some podcasts and I ended up buying the book. So, but it like, if you are a book person, like it would at least go through the steps.
Okay. Yeah. I'll link that one in the show notes too. Thanks. Send it to me. All right. We will not make it be over a year before you come back again, but
I
we will
mean,
definitely have you back.
it's whatever. I'm good with a year.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming to the table. We hope today's conversation encouraged you as you seek Jesus in the big moments and the little ones. Check out the show notes for any scripture, resources, whatever we talked about today. Feel free to share this episode, leave a comment, ask a question, or share your thoughts with us. Come back and join us again next week. We'll be right here. If you haven't already, go follow or subscribe wherever you listen and find us on socials to catch up if you don't have time to listen throughout the week, or just to find out what all the next episodes are about. Also, we know you have things to say, examples to share, wisdom to give, so look for opportunities this week to share with those around you or even with us. All right, we'll see you next time.